This tutorial will quickly show you how you can build your own custom form within StructuredWeb. To begin building your custom form, you want to be within the Site Center, and notice I'm underneath the Forms tab. If you've built forms in the past, or if someone else has built forms within your account, they'll be listed here. To create a new form, you'll click the New Form button, and it will simply ask to name the form, so I'll just name this BYOD. Click Save and Continue, and that will process your request and create the form. So you'll be presented with default content. Notice below I have a first name, a last name, or an email address field. To add a field, it's very straightforward. You simply click the Add a Field button, and then you'll have a couple options here you can choose from. You can add contact fields. These are basic contact information: first name, last name, email address, city, state, postal code. Profile fields, so you can take any profile that you have in your customer center database and apply it to a form and basically customize it and change it into the form of a question. Or you can just simply add customized form fields, and you have quite a few options that you can choose from there. So let's quickly add some additional fields to our form to begin. So I'll choose some contact fields. As you can see, it's very straightforward. You'll see a list of fields inside the customer center that you can use. So on this form, I'll add company, I'll make that required, I'll add phone number, I'll add address, city, state, and we'll add postal code. When you're finished, scroll to the bottom, click Save, and as you can see, this quickly adds these fields to the form. Now sorting the fields is a matter of dragging and dropping, so if I wanted the email address field at the top, I just simply drag and drop it to the top of the screen. Now let's go ahead and add some customized fields. To do that, again, simply click Add a Field. And now maybe I would just like a field for additional comments. I would choose the Form Fields option, and as you can see, you have a list of options here that you can choose from. It could be a single selection in a drop-down box, it could be a radio button, it could be multiple selection, it could be a checkbox, a date, a string field, a number, a file. Just say theoretically you wanted to have a job application on your website. You can have them upload their resume, and you can even use StructuredWeb to build surveys, so you could use a rating scale field. Now in this situation, I'd like to have an additional comments box on this form, so I'll choose the text area field, and it'll ask me to provide a name, so I'll say additional comments. I can make it required, and when you're done, simply choose yes. It adds the field to the form, and as you can see, now I have a nice additional comments box at the bottom of the form. Now that we've added additional form fields to the actual form, you can see the actual content of the form is kind of bland. And you have the ability to customize the content, and it's very simple. You just choose the Edit Content button at the top of the page, and as you can see, this loads the familiar content editor within StructuredWeb. So you can use this content editor to build the content of this page any way you'd like. Use the editor to its fullest capabilities. You can insert images, you can insert tables, you could put the form fields on the right or at the bottom of the form. So you have a lot of customized options that you can complete here. The only requirement is to keep this merge field in place, the one that says form fields, the one that I just highlighted. That is generating the actual form, so you can move it around in multiple locations in the content, but you cannot remove it. If you remove it, the form won't generate and you'll have issues. So I actually have some HTML that I'm just going to quickly drop into the editor for demonstration purposes. So I'll just pull my HTML up, and remember, you can access the HTML portion of the content editor by clicking the source button. If you have HTML or you know HTML, you can code it yourself. As you can see, I just dropped my HTML inside the editor, and now if I click source, you'll see I have my content here. And notice the form fields merge field is on the right hand side of the page in this box. When you're done, you simply click the save button, and this will save the content that you've built. Now that I've built the content of the form and I've added customized form fields, let's take a look at how the form will look on my web page. And you can access the actual link to the form by clicking the page URL that you see at the top. So this is the actual link to the form. So if I click on it, you'll see that the form loads. Now, a few things to check. You just want to make sure that your content is laid out nicely. Notice the form fields here. They seem a little out of sorts here. Notice the form fields values are on the left, the actual fields are on the right. So it would be nice if I could kind of move the fields below the actual field name, and you do have the ability to do that in StructuredWeb. So I'll show you actually how to do that now. So let's just go back into StructuredWeb, and you'll notice along the top there's some tabs here. Now normally you'll follow the tabs left to right to take you through the entire process, but because I want to show you how to modify the form field layout, we're going to skip to the Advanced Options tab here, and located at the bottom of this page there's an area for you to change the layout of the form fields. Notice it could be to the left of the field name or below the field name. So if I push this particular layout to have the form field below the field name, it will give me some more options, and it'll align the content up much more properly on the right hand side of that page. So let's just choose below and click the Save button. And now if we just go back out to our form, and I'm just going to simply refresh this page, you'll notice how now the fields are nice and aligned below the field name, and see how it brought everything in line here the way I'd like it to be. So let's go back into the platform and continue working on our form. So as I mentioned before, the easiest process to go through is to follow these tabs left to right. So we were working on the actual form content. We're now going to work on the confirmation page. The confirmation page is the page that gets displayed after a customer or a prospect has filled out the form. You can have the same exact content that you have on the actual form. If you're doing an event or you're doing some type of webinar, it's a great place to put the WebEx information, or if you want them to download a brochure or a white paper, it's a great location for them to download the actual brochure. So you're actually forcing them to register first before they can actually download whatever content you're making available to them. In this situation, all I'm really going to do is bring over the content that I've put on my form, and just basically customize the message at this point and just say, thank you for registering or something to that effect. So as I did with the form content, I'm actually just going to drop the HTML in place just to speed up the process here. But again, use this editor to its fullest capabilities. Insert your pictures, insert your tables, create your hyperlinks, and customize this as you need. So I'm just going to click that source button again, and now I'm just going to drop my HTML in place. And I'll click the source button one more time, and you'll see the content for my confirmation page has been laid out. Notice on the right hand side of the page, instead of having those form fields, I just have a simple thank you message. And when you're finished, just scroll down to the bottom of the page and click the Save button. This will save your changes. If you happen to navigate away from this page without hitting save, you'll actually lose your changes. So if you ever see a Save button, you have to click it in order to save your content. Now that we've built our confirmation page, our next step here is our confirmation email. Again, we're going left to right at this point. The confirmation email is basically an automated email that will go back to the person that has registered, thanking them for registering. This is optional. As you can see, there's an option here to turn that on or off. By default, it's turned off, but you can turn it on to send them another thank you message, or again, if it's a webinar or some type of promotion, you could put a detailed information here inside this particular email. Notice the content editor at the bottom. Again, utilize the editor to build your content. Once again, if you make changes to the screen, you do want to hit the Save button at the bottom of the page. And our last step is the actual distribution of the form. This is who gets notified when the form has been submitted. By default, it goes back to the site administrator. In this case, it's me, but I can more or less change that. As you can see, it's being assigned to Mark Ritchie. If I'd like to change that, I simply click the Edit button here, and then I choose which user I'd like to assign this to. So if I wanted to assign it to Bill, I would choose his name. And then you also have the option if you want to send the email notification or not. Most of the time you would like to send a notification because a form submission is typically a much warmer lead, but you do have the option to disable that. Again, any changes that you make here, just simply scroll to the bottom of the page and click the Save button. And as I mentioned, we were going left to right. The actual real last tab here is the Advanced Options tab. We briefly looked at this earlier in the video. There's a couple options here that you can utilize. You can determine what you would like to do when a new contact fills out the form. You can have StructuredWeb automatically create the contact, or you can basically manually create them yourselves. And if they are existing, you can automatically update their information or manually update their information. A few other things that you can do in the advanced options is you can secure the form using SSL. So for example, if you're trying to gather personal information like employee ID numbers or driver's license numbers or social security numbers, you do want to encrypt it with SSL. Puts the padlock on the browser, makes it fully safe to gather that type of data. And then obviously the layout of the actual form fields, which I showed you earlier in the video. Again, any changes that you make here, click Save to process your changes. Otherwise, the system won't accept the values that you've entered. So that really covers building forms from start to finish. Thank you for watching this video, and enjoy your day.